It was an old, charming bridge, but over the past few years, the city had gradually drifted away from this part of the river, and its use diminished. It was a single-lane bridge, one of the last in the nation made of wood that still supported automobile traffic. Weight limit warnings were posted at both ends of the road that traversed it, and signs at the entrance ramps restricted access with right-of-way rules. Then came the most severe storm the city had ever faced. Upstream, 2 trees collapsed into the river, trapping other debris and forming a dam. Within an hour, the dam broke apart, unleashing a torrent of water, trees, and debris downstream. Experts later explained that the largest tree had lodged itself deep into the riverbed, right in front of the bridge, almost as if it were trying to protect it. But the force of the water prevailed, and everything was swept away. In the aftermath, the depression left in the riverbed sometimes created swirling whirlpools. The city council added the issue to the agenda for their next finance meeting, but the bridge was never rebuilt. Closer to the city's new center, a more modern bridge served traffic. Road closure signs were erected at both approaches, with warnings at overpasses reading, "Danger. No bridge," and that was the end of it. "She's in the side room," the nurse told me as I arrived in the emergency room. "I'll take you to her." I asked how much worse my wife's condition had become, but the nurse hesitated to answer, suggesting I speak with a specialist instead. Never a reassuring sign. The specialist was in my wife's room, looking grim. He pulled the curtain back from her bed and gestured for me to step out into the hallway. "I regret to inform you, Mr. Parsons, that your wife is growing significantly weaker. She has at most an hour left. We've administered pain relief, but I'm afraid there's nothing more we can do." "I'm so sorry. Do you know what's causing this?" I asked. "Not yet. As you're aware, she was admitted with symptoms of nausea and vomiting. Her dilated pupils suggested drugs or food poisoning, but after emptying her stomach, we found no traces of drugs or medications in her system. About an hour ago, she reported difficulty breathing and problems with her vision, which prompted us to call you again. The symptoms of muscle weakness and pain indicate she's nearing the end. Unfortunately, we don't have the resources of a city hospital, and test results take time. Even if we discover the cause later, it may be too late to act. Can't we transfer her to a better-equipped hospital in the city?" "I'm afraid not," he said gravely. "Her condition is deteriorating too quickly, and she's now too weak to be moved. It wouldn't make a difference at this point. Whether she's here or in a more advanced facility, there's nothing we can do to save her. It's better to let her remain here in relative comfort rather than risk her passing away in an ambulance." "So, what's killing her?" "We don't know for sure. Food poisoning remains the most likely explanation, though she mentioned she'd only eaten a cheese salad that day. You should prepare for the worst. It's a painful reality when we can't determine the cause of death until after an autopsy. But that's the position we're in right now. Is there truly nothing else to be done?" The doctor shook his head. "I'm sorry, Mr. Parsons. I know you have a lot of questions, and I'm willing to share everything we know. But not right now. Your wife has briefly regained consciousness and is asking to speak with you." I returned to her room and pulled the curtain back. A chair sat next to Margot's bed. She was propped up slightly, and 4 attached to her arm. She looked frail and exhausted. "Mrs. Parsons wants to speak with you, sir," the nurse said before stepping out of the room. "Please press the call button if you need anything." As the nurse exited, Margot turned toward me. "Liam, is that you?" "Of course, love," I said, taking her hand. "I'm so sorry," she said weakly. "My vision is starting to blur, and I don't think I have much time left." "Don't say that," I reassured her. "You'll be back on your feet in no time." Her sad smile told me she didn't believe it. "Sit down, my love," she whispered. "They say confession is good for the soul, and I have a lot to confess. I need to tell you now before it's too late." "Go ahead," I said gently, encouraging her to speak. "Liam, I'm so sorry, but I've been having an affair for the last 6 months. I know you'll be angry, but I'm not going to tell you the man's name. If I did, you might hurt him and end up in jail." "I understand," I replied evenly. "You don't seem very upset," she observed. "Well," I said, "if you're nearing the end, I think it's best to stay calm and let you get everything off your chest. She nodded, coughing slightly as she tried to gather her strength. It started innocently enough. On Thursday nights, when I was with Babs, we'd go to the Castle Hotel for cocktails and conversation. That's where I met him. He's a traveling salesman, staying there every other Thursday. At first, it was just dancing, me then Babs, but it quickly became apparent he was more interested in me. Babs stopped coming after a while, telling Malcolm she was still meeting me, but she started going to the wine bar with her coworkers instead. And I, of course, told you I was still meeting Babs. I see, I said, remaining calm. I never meant to hurt you, she sobbed. I just got swept up in it all. It soon escalated: dinners, dancing, and then meeting in his room for, But it was only physical, Liam. I've never loved anyone but you. Thank you for saying that, I said quietly. He used to complain about missing home-cooked meals, and it flattered me when he praised my cooking, even though he'd never tried it. Then, when you told me you'd be gone all Thursday night, I invited him to our house. I made him dinner and we drank wine. He doesn't like beer, and as you know, I only drink gin and tonic. We slept in the guest bedroom, never in our bed. That's the truth. It happened again last night, but when you called to say you were coming home unexpectedly, we panicked. He left quickly and drove back to his hotel. You arrived about an hour later, and that was when I decided I'd had enough. I told myself it was time to end things with him, though I suppose I won't have to now. Almost getting caught scared me and made me realize just how much I love you. I do love you, Liam. Do you feel better now that you've gotten it off your chest? I asked. Emotionally, yes, she admitted. I couldn't go to my grave without telling you the truth. But physically, the pain is worsening. She shifted uncomfortably, wrinkling her nose in discomfort. I'll call the nurse for another pain pill later, I assured her. Just hold on for now, my love, I added. You've said your piece and I've listened. Now you need to rest and take it easy. I will, Margot promised. Drool began to escape the corner of her mouth, and I gently wiped it away. She reached for her water glass, nearly knocking it over, but I grabbed it just in time. After she took a sip, I set the glass back on the table and began. I suppose I should start by saying that one Sunday morning, while I was browsing gardening magazines at the newsstand, I overheard your friend Babs. Funny how the smallest, most innocent moments can lead to revelations, I said. Margot frowned, a look of embarrassment crossing her face. Babs didn't see me, so she had no idea of the impact her words would have. I continued. Yeah, we should catch up and chat. It's been far too long, Babs was saying on her phone. 5 years? I suppose that's how it's meant to be. It's not like you've been in our neighborhood much. When are you planning to come back? She asked her friend. I wasn't really paying much attention at first, but then I caught her next words. Thursday night works best for me. I'll be meeting the girls from work there anyway. I'll run it past Margot, but don't hold your breath. She's usually very tied up on Thursday evenings, if you know what I mean. Margot looked puzzled. You don't get it, do you? I said. Maybe the painkillers are making it hard to focus. But you'll understand soon enough. Please, Liam, just call the nurse. The pain is getting unbearable, she pleaded. Later, I said firmly. First, let's clear something up. Babs isn't supposed to be free on Thursday nights. That's the day she's supposed to be meeting you. Margot started coughing again. It all clicked into place, I continued. One Thursday, I followed you to the hotel. I sat at the bar, had a couple of beers, and watched as you dined with your lover. Margot's face went pale, her age suddenly showing in every line and wrinkle. It wasn't hard to figure out who it was. Donnelly. So, hiding his name was pointless. I saw you both go to his room, I added. You knew, she whispered, her voice trembling. Then why did you let me confess? Why didn't you confront me? Because I wanted to hear it from you. You claimed it was just sex, but that's not entirely true, is it? It wasn't just sex. It was betrayal, deep and personal. Margot paled further. Why didn't you stop me? Or do something, she asked. Oh, I did, I said calmly. She turned ghostly white. What? What did you do? I took my revenge. On both of you, I replied. She struggled to speak, but her voice faltered as fear replaced pain. I often walk along the riverbank, I said conversationally, especially after the storm when the water level drops. One day, I found something rather interesting and decided to take it to the greenhouse. What was it? Margot asked weakly. Patience, I said. I assumed you'd prefer the comfort of home for your little escapades. So, I set up Thursday nights, then watched the house to confirm my suspicions. I saw you sneak him in and spend the night in the guest room. Margot looked desperate. What are you going to do? She asked, her voice shaking. Everything is already done, I said coldly. Margot's breathing quickened, her fear evident now. The next day, I searched the house. It's amazing what you can find when you know where to look. Black panties and matching stockings in the laundry. Definitely not your usual kind. But the jackpot was the large jug washed and drying on the rack. It's only ever used for red wine, and sure enough, I found the empty bottle in the trash. She coughed again, her body trembling violently. I'm sorry you had to go through this, she managed to say. Don't be, I replied. In fact, it's been the most entertaining time of my life. And now I'm going to be rich. Rich, she whispered. Richer than I'd have been after a divorce, I said with a smirk. Your affair would have left me sharing everything. My house, my savings, my pension with you. But not anymore. Margot's coughing turned into convulsions, her movements jerky and uncontrollable. We're nearing the end, I remarked. Soon you won't even be able to call for help. But don't worry. I'll stay with you until the very last moment. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. You see, I explained, the salad you had tonight, it contained water hemlock. Tasteless, almost like parsley, and utterly lethal. No known antidote. Her body convulsed harder, the paralysis spreading rapidly. Rest easy, my love, I said softly. I'll make sure your final moments are unforgettable. Her eyes widened in panic as her breathing grew ragged. Moments later, she went still, and that was her last cough.